Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper, and I'm back with a card for Scrapbook Boutique, and today is another in my series, Cards4Men. And I'm using this great MFT set, and it's called Beast Friends, and it has lots of different Yeti images. And this is going to be quite a clean and simple design. And I've got a piece of cardstock. It's a panel of white cardstock and cut slightly smaller than the front of my card. And I'm using my tuxedo black ink because I'm going to be doing some Copic colouring. Now I'm eyeballing this, and I did think about this set has some tree images. They just looked a bit small, so what I decided to use instead were a couple of mountain images that were from the Chill Wishes set, which is another MFT set. And I wanted the small mountain to look like it was in front, so I have cut a mask out of some Inkadinkadoo stamping mask paper, and then I can just simply line up my second mountain behind there, and when I remove the mask it looks like that is in front. Now I should have done a pencil mark before I started because I just eyeballed it and I thought that was going to work, but when I did draw my line, because I wanted to join the two images with a Copic marker, to me it just looked on an angle. Well, it was on an angle. Anyway, I'm just going to keep on making the card and think about how to fix that in a minute. So the details I'm adding to the actual Yeti, I'm kind of making him spotty. And today's design is going to be monochromatic. So that just means I'm using all the same sort of colors, like and it doesn't mean just one color only. I'm actually using grays. Oh, that doesn't make sense. I am using one color only, but I'm using all different tones, and it's still like a monochromatic design, but it gives you different depths and a different look by using different shades or tones of one specific color. So I'm starting with my warm grays, and I know that I'm going to be coloring the spots on my little Yeti in a darker version of the same, so I'm not worrying about trying to color around them, and it is easier to shade a bigger image than tiny little ones. So what I have found with shading is I used to add too much ink and get too involved in the shading, and when I'm doing a simple image like this, I actually when I come back with so I lay down my light color, add where I think the shadows are, where I think I want them to be, and then when I bring my light color back to blend them again, I actually just sort of, I don't go right to the edge, I go sort of where the color, just near where the darker color finishes and the lighter color begins, and then I can just feather it, and it seems to mix a lot nicer that way. I did bring out the darker W's for the spots on my little Yeti, and I just thought that did help add a little bit of depth to the image. But not really going for a realistic look here, obviously. Okay, the face and ears, I did the T's, which is another sort of probably one of my favorite Copic colors for adding shadow and shading, and I've brought the T0 and the T2 in there, and I am using my colorless blender just to sort of blend that out to a nice white center of the face. So if you can see the bottom of my card, the line that I drew is crooked. It's driving me insane. So I'm just fixing that by actually cutting my whole panel down just a little bit, and to do that I've cut it with the line being straight along my trimmer, and then I can just keep flipping my card panel around, and the whole panel is going to end up straight by the time I flip it round and cut off each side. And I think it turned out it looks heaps straighter after that. I added some C9. I don't use the black Copic marker, I don't even own it, but I just used the C9 to add some sort of graphic, bold colors to my mountains. My sentiment is from the same set, and I'm going to heat emboss this with white, and I'm doing that on some smooth black cardstock, and just use some Versamark ink. And the thing with heat embossing white on black is, if you use the powder tool, a good idea is to remove any specks of ink that you can before you heat emboss it, but if you don't you can simply use a craft knife just to sort of scratch away the bits that aren't meant to be there. On the dark backgrounds, it's so easy just not to be able to see those specks before you heat emboss it. I decided to cut a fishtail on the end of this little sentiment strip, so just a small snip in the middle where I want it to go to, the depth I want the fishtail to be, and then I can just easily cut 2 diagonals meeting to the center cut. This is going to be a little flag that is holding, so I've got my T ruler here and just using my Copic marker again to draw a little pole and add a dot to the top of that. Then I can adhere everything together. I'm using my ATG gun now. I have worked out, love it now. It's so much easier for me to use. I'll show you in a minute how I'm doing it, but I have had a love-hate relationship with this thing. But the cost of the adhesive, it's so much cheaper, and it is a bit awkward initially, but what I do is actually I hold the trigger down, keep the trigger held down while I'm pulling, and I'm not lifting it up at all. I'm just pulling it off sort of the end of the paper where I want the adhesive to finish. I'm just pulling it straight away. I'll try and catch that a bit better on another video, but give it a practice and see if it works for you. You've probably worked it out ages ago. It's just me that's a bit behind. Okay, I've got some black scrapbook adhesives, foam squares, added those to my little banner, and that's it for my card today. Thanks for joining me. I've had heaps of fun. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.